What's up, y'all? Another episode of Shoebooty Sports coming at you Tuesday nights. This is your host, Grandpal, co-host Bradley Brown. Say what's up, Brad.
How's it going?
It's going. It's been a day. Memorial Day weekend. Hope everyone had a happy Memorial Day. Celebrated accordingly, relaxed, all that stuff. We're going to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Y'all, Shoebooty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. All the races are virtual. Sign up for one or all five of their races at rhinoraces.com. Track each race with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit those results to rhinoraces.com into the submit results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. Again, rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series. And you can find us, Shoebooty Sports, on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, the Wisdom app. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, y'all, and follow us on Twitter at Shoebooty Sports. So the NBA Finals are set. Denver and Miami. So I guess I was right. Technically, I said Miami will close it out. Believe you did too. So yeah, technically we were correct. You're shaking your head. Did you or did you not? I
No, I
can't
thought we
recall.
both picked them to lose.
Well, originally, yeah. And then I said Miami would close it out once they went up 3 games to none. And then the Celtics made it interesting. Of course, you and I together watched game 6. What a game it was, especially at the end. The Derek White play that would have gone down in infamy, in history had they capitalized on it. But literally, it was all heat after that. On the first possession of game 7, Tatum rolls his ankle. I'm on the road, so I don't get home till the second half. And that's when I turn the TV on. And by then, Miami's already separated themselves. And they, of course, you could see Tatum hobbling around. They talked about his ankle, what happened. Then I saw the replay. I was like, ouch. Pretty hard to play a basketball game on a rolled ankle. Hard to
Yep.
do a lot of things on a bum ankle. But it was all Miami. And I did kind of say, like, when Boston made this comeback, tied it up, I was like, I did say, I believe, last week in last week's episode, it would be the most Celtics thing for them to, at least with this team, for them to come back and tie the series and then just get blown out in like game 7 at home. And that's essentially what happened. It wasn't close, wasn't interesting, nothing like game 6. Miami and Denver in the finals.
So
So
when I tuned in last night, it was a close game. It was 11-11, I think. And then it was all heat from that point on.
yes, by the time I got home, unpacked and turned the TV on, it was, and I did just enough, like brought everything in, and kind of got settled, and then got the TV turned on, and then it was Miami, and there was nothing Boston could do. Anytime they'd hit a three, they couldn't capitalize. They'd miss the next 5 threes. It felt like Jaylen Brown looked awful. He had
Yeah.
8 turnovers. He looked terrible. Like when they needed their other guy to step up, he just crumbled. I mean, he just wasn't. He just played poorly. I mean, there's no other way to put it. When they needed him to step up, he didn't. He did the opposite. And Miami looks like the better team last night. And your Tyler Hero has been cleared to play. So I guess we're going to see him in the finals. Finals start Thursday night, by the way, in Denver. Clearly going to be in Denver. You don't even have to look that one up. The 1 seed from the Western Conference and taking on the 8 seed from the East. So pretty wild the way the playoffs have shaped up, at least on the East side. Well, it was even that way on the West side with the 7 seed Lakers, getting to the finals, but they didn't do anything. They were competitive with Denver, but it was still a sweep.
Did you
Okay,
agree with the MVP for the Heat?
it was Jimmy Butler, right?
Yeah. But some people are making the argument for Caleb Martin.
I think that's a fair argument. And he was
Yeah.
he was lights out.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler played well at times too. I mean, he was just Jimmy Butler. You could have made the argument it was Caleb Martin. It's still it's a new award. This is the second year they're doing it. I don't know. I can't say I had a problem with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a problem with it. I could see it going either way, but
Right.
yeah, it's kind of a popularity contest. But
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I felt about it when I heard he got it. It was I didn't think immediately like, yeah, Caleb Martin should have gotten it.
yeah,
But then you think about it, it's like, yeah, if they would have said he was the MVP, I would have agreed with it. It's
true.
not like when the Warriors won their first championship, I believe it was, and Iguodala got the MVP, and I kept saying I was like, they better not give it to Steph. Iguodala was the clear MVP, and sure enough, they did. They gave it to Iguodala, but to me, it could have gone to either one of those guys. I had no issue with it either way. I didn't watch enough of that series also to I think have just a real opinion on one or the other.
Yeah, I think I've caught 3.5 games out of the 7, so can't really talk about it.
Yeah, I paid far more attention to the Western Conference side just because it was the more intriguing of the two brackets. I was like, if the Lakers somehow get to the finals, I mean, it would have been as impressive of a resume as you could put together as far as what the path you took. Couldn't have taken a more difficult path.
No,
And then they just ran into the buzzsaw of that was Denver. Okay, prediction. I got Nuggets. I got Nuggets in 5. What say you?
5 games. I don't know. We'll see what Hero does whenever he gets back, but man, I just don't see it. I just don't see it going to Game 6. Of course, hell, I didn't see this. I didn't see the Celtics and Heat going to past Game 6 either. So I
You
was
didn't
wrong.
you didn't make an official pick.
What?
You didn't make an official pick. I assume you're going with Denver, but you
Oh
haven't gone
yeah,
on the
yeah,
record
yeah.
with that.
Denver in 5.
Yeah, it's a podcast, Brad. We can't reach your mind. Not on this podcast anyway. As far
That
as I
must be
know.
my other podcast.
Yeah, if anybody else can, just be sure to send us a tweet or something. Let us know. Yes, I don't see it going past 5 games. In fact, I could see this being like Denver's had a long layoff. Miami is Miami's coming off some a lot of do or die situations. At least these last couple of games, and it's going to be they're going to be. I mean, Denver's going to be fresher, so I can't say Miami will be, but Miami will be more. What am I trying to say here? They don't have to get reacclimated like right away. I mean, they can just it's like another day to them at this point. Denver's had will have had more than a week off by the time they take the floor Thursday.
I was
So
fixing to say when's the game, but Thursday you just said so.
yeah, I could see Miami stealing game 1. I could see Miami stealing game 1 in Denver and Denver kind of waking up, be similar to the 2000 finals, like Philly taking game 1 from LA and then after that it was all Lakers. I could see something like that happening here. So, yeah, I think that could be the game that Miami takes it, or they could get one when they go back to Miami. It'll be one of those two, I think. They either steal game 1 or they take one of them, whether they're down 3-1 or 3-0 or 2-0. They'll take one of those two in Miami, and then Denver will close it out in the last two. That's how I see it going. It's really one of those two options to me. I don't think it's gonna. You got Jimmy Butler. I mean, that's a scrappy Miami squad. That's a well coached team. I think you could probably say at this point, Erik Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. And that could be recency bias, but if you just look at the entire resume, he went to 4 finals with the LeBron squad, LeBron, Wade, Bosh, that crew. Got 2 of them, 1-2, got back to the finals in the bubble year, and now you're back again. So he's done it with two different teams multiple times. And I mean, the guy's just, I mean, you just saw what he did. I mean, just against Boston. You could just see, you could see the strategy there. I could go into a lot of specifics with that, but I mean, it would probably take up the whole show. But okay, I heard this question posed: who is a greater, who's been the biggest contributor to Miami's success to date? Would you give credit to Pat Riley or Erik Spoelstra?
You got to give it to Riley, right?
Yeah, like they asked Dan Levitard the question. He just couldn't answer. He's like, no, it's both of them, and I think it's probably true. But if you're gonna hold my feet to the fire, and make me answer. Yeah, I would say Pat Riley, just because who did Spoelstra learn all this from?
Yeah.
And Riley's the one that put the team together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say Riley. We'll talk about more GM news here in a bit with Bob Myers stepping down as the general manager for Golden State. So big news there. Could be some big things coming change wise there in San Francisco. We'll see. But yeah, I would give it to Riley, but yeah, Spolster's right up there. To me, it's just 1A, 1B as far as their success goes. And Jimmy Butler has just completely resurrected his career. He's completely found a home there in Miami.
Do you see where he's trademarking a new I guess nickname?
Who? Jimmy
Jimmy
Butler?
Butler. Yeah.
No, what is it?
It's Hemi Buckets.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why him?
I have no idea, but apparently he's going to start a clothing line and a line of bottled drinks or something here in the next year or so with Hemi Buckets.
Yeah, I'd have to do a little more research on that to figure out why that choice. But maybe is he taking like the Espanol twist on the J? Maybe
Maybe,
being in Miami. I
maybe
don't know. That's off
the
the top of my
better
head.
guess than what I had. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. But that's a good place to do that. It's a good place to open up a clothing line and adult beverage company down there in
Yeah.
Miami. Good place to do that. And he's done very well in Miami on the court. That's like I said, he's he's had a Hall of Fame career already, and he's completely resurrected it there in Miami. He's found a home there. Who who are you rooting for in this one? Are you rooting for anybody in
Oh,
particular, or just the story, and just kind of seeing what's out there? Sounds like you got somebody in mind.
who am I rooting for like in the finals?
What else are we talking about?
It's got to be Denver.
I mean, does it have to be? Why does it have to be Denver?
I don't know. I just kind of want to see him win it. But the more intriguing story would be if Miami could pull it off and get the upset. But
I think they're equally intriguing. It would be if Miami did it, it would be one
I'm
a
probably
huge
going to be
upset.
rooting for Miami because they will be, I guess, the underdog. I
Yes,
mean,
I tend to root for the underdog when it's just like when I don't have a dog in the fight. Like
yeah,
I went into Warriors Lakers not caring. I just wanted to see a good series. And it was one of those situations like that as I was watching it live, I was naturally pulling for the Lakers. I guess because it's the underdog. I
yeah,
guess. And I was like that when they played Denver. And I like Denver and I like Jokic. I think the guy's a great face for the league, a great ambassador for the game. Love to see him on the court and off. But I just found myself pulling for the Lakers naturally. Just I guess it was because of the underdog thing. That's all I can think as to why. In this one, I genuinely I don't care either way. I think either one is a great story. Jimmy Butler getting his first ring, Spoelstra getting his third ring with a completely different team. That's a good story. But I mean, but this would be Denver's "We've arrived." After losing to LA in the bubble year, I believe it was it was the Western Conference Finals then. Losing to Golden State last year. I I, I think this is just their we've arrived party. They're here. They're the best team. They should win it. That's both are great stories. It'd be Jokic's first championship. KCP getting another one after being with LA. Jamal Murray has completely he emerged as a superstar in that bubble year. He was great in those Western Conference Finals, but yeah, he's turned into he's proven to me he's a superstar this postseason. That Western Conference Final game two, he was phenomenal. Not great, he was phenomenal. He couldn't miss. This to me, it's Denver's arrived. I think they win it in 5 games, and depending on what happens in the offseason, they could be around for a few years.
Yeah.
Pro basketball's tough now. It's tough to have that 5, 6 year, 8 year stretch that essentially the Bulls had with MJ. Of course, that was Michael Jordan too. And even that last championship team in '98, the Jazz were favored. As a kid, I didn't know it. I thought the Bulls would win because they had Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
They had Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. I was like, no, the Bulls are going to win. So I wasn't surprised, but all the games were competitive. And by pretty much everyone, I mean, it was considered an upset. Like Jordan just willed them to the championship. So it's hard. The point is they were on their way out. That dynasty was on their way out. And the Warriors looks to be coming to an end as well. And I said it initially last year. A lot of people said the opposite. They said, this could be the start of another run by Golden State. And to me, watching it, it felt like this was it. This was their last just kind of masterpiece putting together. Steph for sure out there on the out there on the floor, in the finals. It just felt like that was it. It's hard to sustain that. Then you get ousted in the second round this year to the Lakers, who are turned into a good team, but not a championship team. I think Denver would have probably not swept them, but I think Denver would have beaten them in 6. I'd have a hard time thinking it would have been 5, but Denver was the better team. But this Denver team, I could see them being back in the mix for 3-4 years, depending on what all they do in the offseason, etc. They're a great team right now, is what I'm getting at. And that's not going to just go away overnight. They're going to stick around for a while.
I hear KD might be signing with them next season.
Yeah, I don't know how they would make that work, but I've heard Kyrie tossed around a lot. I don't know that I want to. Kyrie you'd have to trade for. You'd have to figure something out there. And the Lakers want to be in the mix. They don't need to be, just because you're going to have to give up too much for him. You'll have to give up like a Hachimura, and they need him. Like they need that guy. They need him on both ends of the floor. He can play offense. He can play defense. We saw that against Golden State. We saw it in the Denver series too. But they need him to stick around. I would roll with what they have and just build in free agency if you can. Like I said, just you need more shooters. You can't get enough shooters for them. Not when you got LeBron and AD. Okay, we'll jump to the Warriors. Bob Myers stepping down. Kind of just said if you're not going to be all in, then you don't need to be doing this job. That was essentially his reason. He said he's not taking another job as far as I've seen, at least in the story I read on ESPN.com. And the owner, you can just tell in the press conference when they're side by side, he's it's not something he wanted. He's not sure exactly why he's doing it. He even said that. But I mean, it's a I would think that would be like a dream job for many, but it's it's got to be a tough job. It's got to be, it's a 24/7 gig. And it's like he said, you got to be all in or not at all. So I guess if he's spent, he may see this as, yeah, this could be winding down. He knows Draymond and Clay, the contract. You don't know what's going to happen there. And four championships, that's a hell of a run. He's probably thinking, yeah, if I'm going to get out, now's a good time to get out. So I don't know who you go for next, but okay. Jump into the coaching carousel now. The Bucks hired the 76 the no the Toronto Raptors assistant coach. So who I was thinking they were going to go after Nick Nurse, right?
Yeah.
And instead they go after his assistant, which I found kind of funny. Just the assistant from a team where the coach got fired, even though it didn't. Nick Nurse is a championship coach, and that wasn't a championships roster this year. So, but I was a little surprised by that. But Nick Nurse has been hired as to be the next 76ers head coach. I don't know if that was today or yesterday, but Nick Nurse found a landing spot in Philly. I found that to be kind of funny just because of what Embiid said to him. I think it was last season, just kind of dogging him, telling him to sit down on the sideline when he was up, talking or something. I don't know. But Embiid, you know how he is. He told him to sit down. Found that to be kind of funny just because of the interaction between those two. Like, well, I guess they're gonna smooth that over and get to business. But yeah, Nick Nurse to Philly. Um, I don't know what the Suns are gonna do. I think Doc Rivers will be in Phoenix eventually.
I've heard Doc's been helping out the Heat with film review and stuff. So
Well,
maybe
he better get to work.
Yeah,
he
better
better
put
get to
in them
work.
hours. Yeah, you're gonna have to find something nobody else has.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see what you can do to Denver. I don't see a weakness there. If you go after Jokic, then Jamal Murray's going to get his. KCP's going to get his. Michael Porter Jr. Like that's the thing. It's all those guys can make shots. And Jokic will find them. Like that's the
Yep.
thing. He will find them. He's the best passing big man I've ever seen. And if you try to take those guys away, like the Lakers gave up 30 from Jamal Murray in the first half of game 4. And so they focus on him in the second half, lock him up. I don't know that Murray scored another point. I know he didn't score at all in the third quarter. But then Jokic, gets his. KCP gets his. Michael Porter Jr. gets his. You take one thing away, they're going to go to the other option.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they're a great team. You take one thing away, they're going to figure something. I mean, they're going to figure it out, and it doesn't take them long to figure out.
So what do you think? What do you think the Heat are going to start off doing though? Think they're going to start off double teaming Jokic, or think they're just going to try and play him 1-on-1 and see if he's having an on night or what?
I'm sure Spoelstra is going to have as good of a game plan as you could have against that team. I just don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what you do. I would focus on Jamal Murray personally. I would try to just shut him down. Try to slow down the distribution, but that's the thing. It's I don't know that there's an answer for Jokic.
I don't think there is.
Because if you can stop him from scoring, but then he's going to rack up assists. And if you focus on Murray, Jokic is going to get more involved offensively. I just don't know if there's an Spoelstra will have as good of a game plan as you could have against that team, but there's no stopping great teams. So I don't know what you do there. I don't know what they're going to do. If I had to guess, I would probably say focus on Murray They might see that's where the Lakers had some success, in that second half of Game 4. But I don't think there's any way you can just stop a great team. I just don't. Okay, so SEC news: Hogs hosting a regional. Right on. By the way, Vanderbilt winning the SEC tournament. So, but Hogs still getting still hosting a regional. Who is it they have, and when does that start?
I
I have
believe
not looked up any of that.
it's Arizona, TCU, and dang it.
Yeah, you didn't say the one that they're playing because I can't remember who it was. I just remember
it's a
smaller
smaller
school.
school, right?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, some
I don't know,
excellent
but
SEC coverage from us there.
But
SEC.
hey, eight SEC schools are hosting regionals, which I think is a record. That's half of the SEC schools are hosting a regional. How crazy is that?
I'd say it's crazy, but it doesn't surprise me. Really, the only bad teams were like the Mississippi schools. Seems like A&M. What they were the 10th seed or number 10 nationally, not the 10 seed, but number 10 nationally. They got
Were
to
they
the
ranked that
SEC
high?
final. Yeah, A&M has a really good record. Of course, they ousted Arkansas or beat Arkansas to get to the tournament final, SEC tournament again. But that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's SEC, it's the SEC base or SEC baseball. It's as good as it gets in this
Santa
day and age.
Clara.
Santa Clara, there you go. When is the game though?
Uh, man, that's a good question. Friday. Start Friday.
Okay. All right. There you go. I do look forward to some college baseball. We are kind of getting on the verge a little bit of that little lapse in sports, where it's just getting a little slow with it
Yeah.
just being a 4-game Western Conference final. We didn't have a whole lot to watch sports wise over the weekend. Just kind of had to sit around and wait for Boston and Miami. But yeah, final start Thursday. NCAA baseball tournament starting Friday. It sounds like, at least for Arkansas, it is. So
Thank for everybody.
yeah, I would think more baseball coming or more sports coming our way. Now, okay, we both saw Georgia's SEC or not just SEC, but Georgia football schedule. So are they just the new Alabama, just getting taken care of?
It looks like the new and improved Alabama with that schedule. But they're getting the red carpet rolled out for them. All they got to do is complete the season.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Alabama would at least play like their first opening game. Their opening game would be against a top 10 school usually. Like they'll play a Michigan or something. But then they'll have as easy of an SEC schedule as you can have and some pretty easy non-conference games. That's how it's been for the last several years, it seems like. Like the SEC is taking care of Alabama. Now it appears they're doing that with Georgia, but it's even more obvious just because you look at their schedule and you're like, I mean, they should run the table. I don't even know who's back but if they're in any way, shape, or form similar to what they've been the last 2 years, I would think they would handle business. And I don't see a game on there where they could lose. Of course, you never know. That's why they
Never
play
know,
the
man.
games. But just
Yeah,
looking at it on paper, yeah, it's like I mean they should roll. They should roll
see,
through the
they
schedule.
get started off with Tennessee Martin to open the season, then followed up playing Ball State, and then they play South Carolina and UAB, and those are all at home. And then they go on the road to Auburn, and then come back and play Kentucky, followed by Vandy, then roll into Florida, and then play Mizzou, Ole Miss, and Tennessee before finishing it up with Georgia Tech. Murderer's row right there.
Oh yeah. what a schedule. Meanwhile, Arkansas will probably have the second or third toughest schedule in the country. But it's what it
They
is.
said Auburn has the toughest schedule this year.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those schools. It's not going to be Alabama or Georgia, apparently. But speaking of dynasties, I did see something. We'll touch up on a little high school football here. Okay, the perennial power in Arkansas high school football the last 5 years. They won 5 consecutive state championships. Bryant High School. I don't think they've lost to an in-state school. I think they've lost one game during that time, and they haven't lost to an in-state school in during that 5-year stretch. And there was a big controversy made because
Wow.
not all the players on the team got their rings. Did you hear about this?
I heard something about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not every player got their rings, and the reasoning was because you hear that and you're like, why is that? The reasoning is because those players are who aren't seniors, by the way, are not going to be on the team next year. They've just decided not to play. And you hear that and you say, well, they were still on the team this year. They did the work. They should get a ring. But apparently that's been a rule that's in place for the last 5 years, according to their head coach. Now former head coach, Buck James. The only reason I bring this up is because I saw that he left Bryant to take the Conway job today. So like an equal school, like an equal 7A school, as far as just size and salary, I'm sure, and all that. But he took Bryant, who was a respectable program, but not a perennial power. He turned that program into the program in the state of Arkansas. So seeing him jump ship like that, makes you wonder why. But yeah, those okay. But yeah, apparent fair or foul for the rule, by the way. What do you think of that? That if the rule is if you're not going to be on the team next year, if you're just quitting the team even though you've completed the season, but you're not going to play next year, you're essentially quitting the team. What are your thoughts on that?
fair. If the kids knew about it, if it was a known rule of his, it's completely fair. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
get it. I don't want you coming around here, you know, getting or giving half-ass effort throughout the week just to ride the bench, just so you have the chance of getting a ring, and then calling it a career after you do get that ring. No, I
that
can
was
see it.
essentially my because the loudest people on like social media are always the ones that just who disagree with it, right? They're always the loudest people, and it's just get those kids their rings, all that. I'm just doing the whole eating the popcorn and just scrolling the post on it, just seeing how ridiculous some people can be with it. But that's my thing. Why is it really a controversy? If they knew this, if the kids knew this beforehand, and this rule has been because that was the coach's reasoning. This rule has been in place for the last 5 years. Why are you if you knew that beforehand, then you should like the rules are the rules. You can't make an exception just because one was a like the only thing like one was a key player like on this year's team, I believe, and like got injured or something like that, and wants to focus on baseball or something. Like a lot of people are pointing to that, but it's like, but that's still the rule, and you can't
Yeah,
make an except. Well, he played more, so he gets to have his ring. You can't. That's not fair to the other kids not getting theirs. If that's the rule, and you knew the rule beforehand, then you don't have a legitimate gripe.
you better be showing up for 2 days next season
Yeah,
and showing up for all them summertime workouts. Because yeah,
and
I
I actually retweeted like with myself saying that like if the kids knew that beforehand, they don't have a legitimate gripe. Rules are the rules, even if you don't like them, you know? And like the person that responded, who works for the paper in Saline County, I believe, reporter. She said that she didn't think that was the reason that he left, and she's the reporter. She knows more about it than I do. I'm purely speculating, and I didn't use good language. It's Twitter, I'm not thinking about it that deep. I'm like, I'm sure this is, you know, has a lot to do with why I did it. When really, I'm guessing this has a portion to do with it. This is probably one part of just a plethora of issues with these either kids or parents or community or whatever, where he's just kind of had enough. He's like, all right, I'm going to go to this other program now, because he apparently interviewed for a smaller school, Sheridan, for the same position, and the money just wasn't, what it is at Bryan or Conway. So he took the Conway position. So if you're interviewing at Sheridan, like, I'm sure, and the person that responded, the reporter said, I don't think it contributed to him leaving. It probably did contribute a little bit. It was maybe I'm not saying that was the reason, but it was probably a small portion of it. But that was essentially my thing is, if you knew the rule beforehand, then you don't have a legitimate gripe, because because when you've won 5, and I understand the rule even, because if you won 5 years in a row, you're
Yeah.
going to have, and haven't lost to a school, an in-state school during that time. You're a student thinking, man, I could just go jump on the team for a year, get a ring, and just bounce,
Yep.
and you got to set rules in place to keep something like that from happening. So I understand the rule. Um, guys have done weird things like that, for less. Like, I mean, I remember us playing, and we'd had there'd be like one or two guys a year that would play like ninth grade and senior year just so they could walk in homecoming, which I thought was odd, because it's like, I'm
Yeah, I
not
forgot about that. Yeah, that was
strange,
pretty.
weird.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say lame, but yeah, strange and weird. We'll go with that.
lame is the correct term. It's like, you're going to go through all that work just to walk in homecoming. I mean, homecoming's not that great. Yeah, I'm doing it because I want to play football.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's
so if they're gonna,
homecoming was the last thing for my mind playing football.
yeah, if you're gonna do something like that, like if you're gonna go through an entire year of practice and all that just so you can walk in homecoming, you're probably gonna do it so there more kids are probably gonna do it so they can get a ring. But either
Yep.
way, yeah, interesting subject. But we're gonna get out of here on that note. Look forward to the finals Thursday, and we'll be back here next week to discuss. Till then, Grandpal,
Brother Brown.
deuces, y'all.
Peace.